What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the UnLearnT podcast. This is your girl, Jaquita, back with another episode of the second act. This is the place where we reflect on where we've been so we can redefine our now and rewrite our next. Friends, I have my people on here with me today, okay? Two of the besties, okay? One I've known since a young girl at the middle school in eighth grade. Then he married this amazing, beautiful, phenomenal woman that you see on the screen. Okay, listen, they are, you better say it, okay? She is that girl, and he all right. But nevertheless, I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
Yeah, but look what I
Listen,
pulled, though. Look what I pulled.
look what you
Look
pulled
what I
though.
pulled.
Okay, look what you pulled though, and that's what matters. Okay, she upgraded you. But nevertheless, these are two of my greatest friends that I super duper cherish. They are lawyers. Okay, so when I tell people don't play with me, I got two in the bag. Okay, I give you a 2-for-1 special. Somebody try to come at me funny, right? They're lawyers. They're parents. Their sisters, their brothers. They are a man and woman of God, and I am super excited to introduce you guys to my friends Samuel Andre Small and Brandy Small. Say what's up to the people, y'all.
What's up, people?
Yay! What? Listen, me and Andre go way back. Okay,
You
I
have to say
first
that many ways. Maybe one or two is fine.
how about one for every 5 years? Way back.
Right.
Listen,
Well, we can talk about that later, but talking about that way back. So my barber, who's Gen Z, or no, he's Gen Alpha, maybe. I don't know at this point.
don't be fooled up with them youngins.
I was like, I'm coasting that unk status. He's like, oh no. I started talking about the dial up and phone book. He told my son, oh, you're OG. And 1 minute. Like I said, wait a minute, take this off. What did you say? I said, wait a minute. No, he said, oh man, I just gave you unk because I was trying to be generous. You know, he said,
Shut up.
I said,
Oh,
old, and then he promptly reminded me that I was his mom and dad's age. I said, okay.
oh, the disrespect. The
Yeah.
disrespect. Listen, I try to correct people real quickly, okay? I'm a middle adult, not middle aged.
All right.
Okay? There's a difference.
But
There's a
like that.
difference.
People.
Middle adult. Okay, I'm not a young adult no more. I left that around about 35. Okay, middle adult. Okay, let's get it right. And most of our viewers are also middle adults. The young adults starting to come in though. They starting to creep in on us though.
Amen.
So people who understand our struggle, I want to know what y'all are being called out there. You know, I went from being like, you know, you like an auntie to, you know, you're really like a mother figure for me, you know, and I'm just like,
Whoa.
and then when I meet their moms are like, girl, I'm gonna call you, you know, we can be friends. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
It's my new reality. Speaking of parents, listen, y'all, they're gonna tell you the whole story, okay? But I really want you guys to know, when I thought about people that I wanted on the podcast, Andre and Brandy's Samuel Andre Small, that's the way he first introduced himself to me in the eighth grade, y'all. I was sitting next to him in the band room, and he said, hi, my name is Samuel Andre Small. I was like, all right, Samuel Andre Small.
Brandy,
I'm
who does
Jaquita.
sound like?
One name.
Samuel.
I see.
Listen.
Oldest son.
Listen. So I'm gonna call him Andre from here on out, but his whole name is Samuel Andre Small. Okay. But they have such a magnificent story. God has done, when I tell you guys, so many things in their lives, in their marriage, with their family. I mean, we could literally be on here for hours, but producer Joy ain't having it. But we could literally, she gonna cut it. Okay, so if y'all see me say, all right, well, we're gonna wrap it up, it's because producer Joy might have given us a signal. But their story is just so full of how God has shown himself to just be mighty in their lives and to transition them. I mean, the name of the show is the second act, but I feel like Andre and Brandy have like a third act, a fourth act, a fifth act. just multiple stages where God has transitioned you, almost taking you from a place where it felt really, really still and just like zoomed you forward into another realm of living. And so I want you guys, either one of you can start and talking about how did you meet? Talk about the origin story. I want to hear it again.
You gonna start, Brandon?
No, I'll just say this. I'll let you do that, Dre. But it was so funny. We were leaving the courthouse in York this week, and it dawned on me that Andre and I will have been together 20 years this year. I know. Look, I was like, oh my gosh. And then so I go scrolling like on my Facebook or my pictures or something, and I see like the first time we went to like the black and gold ball and all these things, and I was like, oh, it's really been 20 years. So yeah, it's
20 years.
wouldn't change
20
it for the
years.
world, but it's definitely 20 years.
Listen, I love telling people like I got friends who've been married since 2010. Okay, like listen,
Right.
okay, I love it. Andre's the romantic teller of stories, so
Yeah.
Well,
especially when he talk about his boo.
yeah, I know. Listen, so went to Wofford College. Brandon's actually a year older than I am, so it's but graduated from Ridgeview, went to Wofford College, and I get on this campus, and I am the loner that that you probably remember me. I didn't really talk to anybody.
Yeah, Andre ain't go nowhere, ain't do nothing. Anytime I hung out with him, he's like, "Why don't you just come to the house?" I'm like, "Sure, Dre, sure. Let's sit around the house again."
Look, because it's safe there. Look, I'm saying, and I ain't got to spend no money. Y'all got to spend y'all gas to come to my.
I'm so done. Anyways, tell them about my sister.
Yeah, so I get there and I don't know, just trying to find my way. This is the first time, of course, when you get to your freshman year on campus, you're just trying to find your way. The first time we actually met, and Brandon, correct me, was at Transitions, right? Was that?
There was some program where you guys visited like
During the summer.
Or like the spring before or something like that.
Yeah.
I remember I met you there.
Yeah. But it was kind of in passing, right?
Well, there was a room, like, remember we had like the bar height, like the bar tables, and like we kind of, I guess, went around and spoke to all the like incoming freshmen or what have you.
Right, and of course at Wofford, it wasn't but a handful of us, So we found each other very, very easily. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
what's up, Black Dot? All right, come here, let's talk.
Yeah, similar vibes at Furman. Similar vibes.
I can imagine.
Yeah, right down the road.
Mater, but that's just the way it was. And so I didn't quite do the hey, my name is Samuel Small. Well, it was just kind of nervous. Whatever. We meet then, but it wasn't. It was like I said, it was in passing. It wasn't a big deal. I actually got to Wofford in the first couple of weeks. Had my first round of classes, and I remember I took French in high school, and pretty decent at it. And the lady, Dr. Schmitz, who was our professor, French professor at Wofford, came to me and said they were trying to beef up the French program, right? Because it was just a very, very small program, not a lot of people. And I think they were also trying to push diversity and say, you're really good at this. I said, okay, great. Well, what do I need to do? And she said, well, you'd have to become a French major. I said, French major? Oh, well, okay. Whatever. I'll do it. But part of the deal was if I did, they would skip me up to the next level. Was it 301? No, 202
level.
The 300 level class with the class ahead of me, where Brandon was. And they would give me the credit for the lower classes and kind of put me on track to graduate a year early, right? I said, well, that's great.
Hold on, wait, because the way the Lord set a thing up, yes, I love it. Yeah. Come on.
Yes, ma'am. It gave me credit for all those, and then my AP courses. When they calculated all that, they said, and if you stay on this route, you can graduate a year earlier.
Wow.
I'll be able to graduate with Brandon. I didn't know that at the time, but
it wasn't.
So I said, sure, why not? Well, Dr. Schmitz on the back end went to Brandy
Yeah,
because
she
she
came
was
to
she
me.
came to you. She was because Brandy was the only Black person in her class.
Right. And I
And
think it was also because Dr. Schmitz and I were close due to, like, having had the experiences that we shared the year prior. And so she came to me and she said, "Hey, I have a student that I'm going to move up to 300 levels uh to you guys' class, and if you don't mind, I told him if he has any trouble, or any questions, that he can come to you." And I was like, "Okay, that's fine, no problem." And then she said, "But will you just go introduce yourself and what have you?" And I said, "That's not a problem." Thinking back on it, I'm actually a very shy person, but I told her, I said, "That's fine, no problem." And so, I mean, and I'll let you pick it up there, but she did ask me, and I'll say this, Jaquita, she actually moved up 2 students. It was you and Chad.
yeah,
And
yeah.
but she told me specifically to go talk to Samuel.
But
Yeah.
let me tell you something. I love it. I've been really wrestling with this idea of God being a matchmaker, and how when we think about, like, oh, how am I gonna find, my husband, or how's he gonna find me? Like, we think that the answer is you got to put yourself out there. You gotta get on the dating apps, and you gotta be in the places where the men at, and everybody's like, where's all the single men at? And I have found myself drawing back from all of this, from this idea that I have to put myself in position, and realizing that as long as I stay in position with God, He can orchestrate my love story just like I've trusted Him to orchestrate everything else.
That is
Yep.
so.
And I think there's so many single people, right? Like, I'm sure she had no idea that when she put you guys together, that this whole love story and this huge family and all of these things would come of it. In her mind, she's like, I have a higher level student that can help this incoming student to progress and move forward. And so I think a lot of times we're trying to write a story when God already has a script, and all you have to do is stay on script, and that will allow God to unveil to you what's in your act, what's in your story. So, okay, I'm sorry, I just had to
No,
get that in.
no, that's awesome. Because listen, I did not go to Wofford College thinking I'm going to come out finding a wife, and I know Brandy did.
No.
Did not. Well, because I mean,
Especially not one who's younger than I am.
that's number one. Her, but
Brandy
number
take
two,
that 1 year so seriously.
Dude.
listen, I knew there were only a handful of us, and of course, I had. I just did not think that I would come out of Wofford. I was not looking for a spouse.
Well, and I think also it's the focus. I think coming from Black families, and talking to our friends and things of that nature, it's just a different culture. When you go out to school, you go to
Hmm.
school. You go to a
Yeah.
something. For me, I'm like first generation college student, so a relationship,
Right.
and never mind the fact that I never had a relationship up until Andre. And so I definitely didn't come there, and I did not seek him out. I was just obedient to my teacher, and I told her I would do it. So I told her I would approach him and tell him, if he needed any help, he could, ask me. But I also included, you won't need any help in my statement.
Yes.
I said, you won't need any help. He's great.
Brandy said, don't even bother me. You good.
And funny enough, when she approached me, and that people use that term, well, was it love at first sight? I can't say that. I'm not going to say that because when she came to me, of course I thought she was beautiful, but
Yeah.
in my mind, just like I thought, what I didn't. I was like, well, she's an upperclassman. What is she gonna do with a little freshman? That type deal. That didn't cross my mind at
Wow.
first, So, um,
Let me tell y'all about how that changed. Okay, let me tell y'all. I'm gonna let him continue his little story. Okay, but remember, me and Andre, when I say we were best friends, we were best friends in the idea of me and Andre were probably the only two people telling each other the truth at
yeah,
all times. keeping
Yes.
it 100, which means we fought a lot, okay?
Let me tell you something.
Let me tell, couldn't nobody get on my nerves like Samuel Andre Small.
Jaquita,
Okay, could
funny enough, I just so at Blythewood High School, Coach Ellis is the student activities coordinator there.
really, yeah.
So I talked to her and she said, "How's Jaquita?" I said, "Fine." The first thing she said, "Y'all just used to fight in my."
Oh, that's so funny. Me and Andre used to go at it,
Yes, Lord.
and but it was in a loving way that we didn't understand as love at that
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
because it was he was
It
the
wasn't no
only
petty
person.
fighting thing. We were
It was
still
it was
homies.
it was petty, but it was honest, and
Right.
it was real, and it was always cutting to the bone. Like it was always, we're gonna cut to the truth of it, honey. Let me tell you something. When this man, I don't know what he thought when he first saw you, but probably the second or third time he saw you, all I heard was Brandy, Brandy, Brandy. And oh, there's this girl at Wofford named Brandy. And then he started accidentally calling me Brandy. And
That was the kick. That was
I
the
was
kick.
like, bruh,
That was the
I was like, who is Brandy? Because let me tell you something.
kick.
Okay, this
Then the
man,
poetry came too. Remember, Jaquita? The poetry.
child, the poetry. So I finally, and I'm a tell my little piece, and I'm gonna be out. And again, me and Andre just completely friends. I finally go to visit him because Furman and Wofford is like 45 minutes away from each other. So I go to visit him, and I'm in the room, and he's just talking about Brandy, Brandy, Brandy. And he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go in. And I was like, take me to her now.
Let me see her. Let me see this lady.
Where is she at? Where is she at? Because, bro, you is sprung.
Yes.
You are sprung. I want to meet her. And of course, when I met her, I loved her. But they
Yeah.
weren't even dating yet.
No. And that was the crazy part. It was so that when she came to me and became my mentor or whatever, and she said exactly that. "Oh, you're not gonna have any issues." And of course I didn't. Um, I started talking to her. We started talking. We found out very early on, the love of God, the love for God that we each had, right? And of course, I was like, "Whoa, that's a big deal."
Yeah.
Um, she helped get me involved with our on-campus group,
Gospel
Soldiers
plan?
for Christ.
Oh, Soldier Christ, yeah.
Soldiers for Christ. And that was a way to keep me grounded while I was in school, but it kind of just encouraged to keep my walk with God intact while there. And one of the first things that she told me that I was like, wow, this is somebody that I could kick it with. I was like, man, I really want to read the Bible in its entirety. I've never been able to do that up in that point. She said, well, why don't you, we can read it together, right? She said, because she and another student, I won't say her name, but they had gone on a quest, if you will, to read the Bible, the entire Bible over the semester, no, the summer, so in 3 months. And she completed that. And I said, how did you do that? I was so enamored by that. She showed me her plan, and we started doing that together. But of course, that led to deeper conversations, that led to deeper friendship, and there was no romance involved at that time. I mean, right? It wasn't this. But we were so close, and it was scary to me at first, because I was like this really is my homie, but like it was just on just another level. And it was through our pursuit of God that really happened. And we spent so much time together. People say, y'all aren't dating. Are y'all sure? Are you sure? What you mean? No, I promise you we're not. But when I had my choice, when all of our friends, and none of the friends that we had at Wofford were the lushes, or like they were Soldiers for Christ. They were those members. But whenever they even went off to do other things, I said, can we just chill? Can we continue?
Like, didn't go anywhere.
I didn't want to go.
I know he ain't want to go nowhere, Brandy.
That sounds familiar to you. But I didn't want to go, not because I was, I guess you could say I was courting her, but I wasn't. It was just so easy. And I don't know if you remember in my vows, Jaquita, at our wedding, that was the thing I said this is the first time and I don't want to get emotional, but this is the first time in my life where I truly feel like I can, and that's even
Wow.
within my upbringing, family relationships, all of that. And Jaquita, you know the story behind that. We won't talk about it
Yeah.
in this podcast. That's a different podcast that I imagine.
We'll bring you back.
We'll bring it. Okay, we'll talk about those things. But I literally, amongst the other friends, with Brandon, I could truly just breathe, take my shoes off, and really, and be silly, be my authentic self. And not only did she um not judge me for that, but it drew her in even more. And she opened up, she made herself vulnerable to me as well. There was no, when I asked, by the time spring of 2026, or I guess the Jan term of 2026,
Mm-hmm.
2006
Mm-hmm.
came around, and a little later on, it might have been in February, I can't remember exactly, when I asked her to marry me, she did not believe me when I said that. And when and of course, it's like we were still freshmen in college and all that stuff. I said, not now, but I cannot imagine my life without you. And I said, so
Wow.
why not? We started this thing. Why not? Let's make the plan. Let's finish it.
Wow.
And Brandon, did you want to pick up from there about the?
Well, I'll add in something because I don't want to make it seem like I was the only one reading the Bible. So I can remember us going from Olin Building, which is where our class was, to walking toward. I was in what was that, Dre?
English,
I was in Dupree, and you were in Marsh.
Marsh. Yeah.
So we were taking the route behind Old Main, and at that time, Andre was reading Romans. And he was fasting from TV, and he was reading Romans. So that's what I shared my story with him, and he shared where he was. He was saying that he wanted to. He was on a pursuit of knowing God for himself. He knew him, but as an adult, knowing God for himself, reading the Bible, and so. I never forget, Becky called it Jesus dating. She said, you guys are Jesus dating, because what we would do is we would go to the common area and we would read the Bible together.
Wow.
And we would talk about where we were in the Bible or what have you, and just, have discussion. So I did want to bring that up. And then, Andre, to your question where you asked, was it about February? So what happened was, like, we got really close that first semester, and that's when I met Jaquita. And then the next semester, our whole group, we had our interim time at Wofford. Our group was really close because we would stay up all night, just hanging out, playing games and things of that nature. But by February, Andre was writing me poetry, and all the poetry was very beautiful. But it would have.
One was sprung, I'm trying to tell you.
The poetry was very beautiful, but the words would if you read the words, you could tell it was planning a future. Now, in my mind, I'm not there, because I'm just here I'm not going to take advantage of a fellow person in Christ. I'm just here to do exactly what I said, which was I would, read the Bible with you, what have you. But apparently he had something else in his mind. But it became clear when I would read the poetry. But I also remember that in February, your dad called and told you to buy me something for my birthday, and you called my roommate at the time, Vicky, and helped set up like the streamers and the balloons in my room while I wasn't there. Set up a cake and all those other things for me, and that we had the little party down in the common area, and then he said, well, I just rather go hang out. You want to go back to your room and hang out? And I was like, that's fine, because Andre always want to hang out. He don't want to be in the crowd. Like, he's always been that way. And so I was like, that's fine. So we go back to my room, and that's when I see the surprise. And excuse me, I think at that time you bought me the teddy bears, um, and I think you bought me an outfit.
Mhm.
Um, and right. And it was so funny because I was like, well, how do you know what size to buy? He was like, well, I can look at you and kind of tell, and I can see your clothes and stuff. So, he bought me an outfit. I wish well, we had house fire, so we wouldn't have it anyway. But he bought me the outfit. And that year, might have bought me flowers for my birthday, which is February 12th, and then for Valentine's Day. So it was a
Mm.
lot of like, was there courting? Yes. But in my mind, listen, I'm a Christian and I'm not gonna take advantage of someone. I accepted gifts. I bought stuff for Andre, took him out to eat, and everything like that. So it
Yeah.
was like we did that with our entire, friend group.
True. Yeah.
Um,
And none of them believed us when we said that we were not, because there were some other friends of ours that had some struggles sexually.
mhm.
And they said, "Well, how can y'all spend so much time together? Y'all got to be doing something." I was like, "Y'all, we did not have
Mm.
sex before we got married. We did not. We were
Yeah.
both,
Thank
and
God.
we don't
And we
say,
praise God.
yeah, and we don't say that to boast. But when Becky said Jesus dating, she's like, "Oh yeah, y'all are Jesus dating." I'm trying to talk like shit. Yeah, y'all Jesus dating. I completely get it. I totally get it. I said,
Yes.
that's accurate. That's accurate. I said, I can take that. I can take that.
Listen,
And
that's
I
such a. I'm sorry, Brandy. I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, you perfectly fine, Jaquita.
I think that's such a, as we're talking on this episode, I'm realizing, guys, if you only know how many struggles we have had to get this episode up and running. I mean,
Yeah.
from the scheduling when I was going to be able to get these two very busy people on a screen together to today, all of the technical issues that I've literally never had. But as you guys are talking, I'm realizing how powerful this is because as young and middle adult Christians, we don't have models for Jesus dating. We don't have models for keeping integrity, remembering that this is your brother or sister in Christ, remembering that this is not just about, I need a husband, I want a wife, and you got to treat me like this, and you got to do this, and I don't want to go to Cheesecake Factory, and all of the things that, like, when you're talking about building a foundation together, you have to start with something that's going to last forever. And I think, and also, if you guys are like, man, Andre wrote all this poetry, that's crazy. Go look at his Facebook statuses. This man is still writing. Okay, he is
And
still
it's not
writing.
moving.
He's still writing love letters to this day to Brandy, to his children. Okay,
It's
he is. He just
right.
wrote one to Maya today. Go, he has not stopped. I don't remember Andre writing nothing for nobody ever. Okay, before Brandy, but now all of a
I
sudden,
didn't do that. I didn't
no,
do that.
no, trust me, Brandy.
I
But it's such a there is a missing piece, and so when you guys are talking about your first act, and Brandy noting that you guys have been together now for 20 years, are known, have met each other 20, 21 years ago, and have all of this history and this foundation. That you have to build something that's going to last a lifetime. And you know what's not going to last a lifetime? That little romance, that little, I had to sweep you up off your feet. I had to do this, I had to do that. Like, you guys are giving the template for how we need to be approaching relationships as believers, and how we need to approach how we need to adjust our eyesight for what we're looking for. Because I'm 5'11", so I've been looking for 6'2", 6'3", and
He come.
he might just be that in the spirit. I don't know.
Right. No, because your dude might be 5'10", bro. That just might be it. It's so funny you say
Yeah,
that. And we just had this conversation not too long ago, and I don't know how deep we can get on the podcast when we talk about
as
sex.
deep as you'd like to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when we talk about sex, and Jaquiti, we've had this conversation about within the marital sphere, sex in my marriage, sex is not the best aspect of our marriage.
No.
It is not.
That's
It, it,
so key.
it
Not
is
close.
not even close. It's as great as it is.
Right.
It is
Andre,
not.
let's be clear.
I ain't gonna, we won't change that because I will
That
say,
change
having been on this side of that, I told Andre, I said the only thing I would have changed about our relationship is I'd have gotten married earlier.
earlier.
I
Yeah.
said because like for all those years, it was I can't let my brother in Christ fail.
Mm.
I'm not gonna be Jesus is not gonna be mad at me for
For
doing
being
something with him.
Hmm.
So, I said that's the only thing I would change. But no, sex is not even close to the best thing
no,
that
But y'all didn't start with that.
and
no.
there was the kicker.
And you didn't even start with that as a goal, as a burning desire, like I gotta have it, and
No.
this is, and, and I think that it made a difference.
Yes, it is. It is something that you make it what you need it to be in your
Mm,
marriage, and you how you regard sex is more important than anything. If you go in with the mindset, like you just said, that I have to have it, that it has to be, we got to make it spicy, and we got to do this, that, and the third. Number one, that makes it too mechanical.
mm,
Um, and the purpose of sex is not to get my rocks off. I hate
mm,
to use that term like that,
yeah,
but if my goal is for us to what's the word I'm looking for, to um put a cherry on top of the sundae, or um to embody our love for each other in a physical act, for me to please her, and then her regard is to her regard for sex is a tool to please me. We too busy trying to please each other that how it happens is less important as to the moments leading up to it and even the moments after, because
yeah,
the act is only a few. It's only is just a very short period of time,
yeah,
but it's the love letters all day. It's the um it's the validation, it's the mind, the mind,
mm,
if you will, leading up to it, letting you know that if of all the people in the world, you are the one that I desire.
yeah.
That is a choice, that's a conscious choice you have to make, and that makes it sweeter. And listen, throw kids in the mix, and I know we're gonna talk about the second act and the final act. You trying to make things spicy while you got four little people knocking at your door. It just probably ain't gonna happen. I mean, not in the way that you want it to happen.
Yeah.
It is. If I can honestly say, because we tempered our flesh in the beginning, if we had to go months without it, if we had to go without it, period. Don't want to, but if we had to, I 1,000% know we would be fine. And because here's the thing, get in a marriage and get in a position where you can't do it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
What are you gonna have to fall back on?
Yeah.
And and here's the thing, we all gonna get old, prayerfully, we all gonna
Mm,
get old, and that is just not gonna be the same. So learning to grow with each other is what I believe it God has really, when I look back on these 20 plus years, um, it's been a privilege. It's been an honor
yeah.
to love him. You don't know what challenges you're going to face.
So one, every turn of your relationship, every part of your journey has been beautiful. I want to kind of focus in on, okay, so Andre called me, sent me a picture of the ring, and he was like, it's about to go down. And I was like, this man, I did not know how serious he was. I knew it was Brandy, 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 but when I saw the ring, I said, we 20 and proposing? We we proposing in college, and you know,
19.
let me tell you something. I loved it though. I was in full support. I loved I loved Brandy. I
Look,
love that Andre was in love because yeah. Um, but I want to kind of talk through. Now you guys are engaged, and then we're headed to law school. And you're at the beginning of marriage. Kind of talk to me about how
life shifted in those terms?
So first getting to law school, um, I actually was going to be a doctor at
Yeah,
first.
since like the 10th grade.
Yeah, Jaquita remembers. AP Bio was my deal, right?
Yeah.
Got to when we got to Wofford after I met Brandon Allstate, I got to the end of my freshman year. And I don't know if you remember, Jaquita, Grandma Betty had an aneurysm.
Yeah, I do remember that.
So of course I ran down there, and that whole event, I don't know why, it just shifted my focus or whatever. And I had to have a real talk with the Lord, and I'll never forget. God rest his soul, and I miss this man dearly, my granddaddy. Since before I even met you, Jaquita, since I was little, he said, "Boy, you're gonna be a lawyer." I said, "No,
Wow.
I'm not." He has always said that. When
Wow.
he met Brandon, oh, he's gonna be a lawyer. Period.
Wow.
So that kind of resonated with me, and then of course I found out that Brandon was headed to law school, and I said, "Well," I had a talk with God. I said, "Let's do this then," right?
Wow.
We ended up. So I did propose, if you will, in our freshman year. We end up getting
You
accepted.
proposed freshman year?
Sophomore year.
Sophomore year.
Oh, okay.
Or just sophomore year.
Well, so let me fix that. No, but knowing what I knew back by the time like he did propose, he was actually trying to propose in February of his freshman year when the poetry was coming and all that other stuff. Because the way that I later found out that I was like, do you know you did this back like months ago? So we were in the dorm room like watching TV or something and just kind of talking. And he kept grabbing my hand and saying, will you buy my salsa chips? And I was like, why do you keep asking me this? Yes, we can go to the store. Let's go to Walmart because you know I said
it like will
you
will you, and I paused, and then I said, like I said something stupid. I said, buy my salsa chips. It was some salsa chips that I really liked at the time. That was me getting cold feet about doing a thing, because I think I got in my head. I said, what am I doing? I'm in my freshman year. I'm a freshman here at this college. See, they're asking this woman to marry me type deal, and of course it wasn't to get married, but anyway. And I finally kept trying, and then what was it? It was October 16th of my that sophomore
year.
Also, right at the beginning of sophomore year. Yeah.
Finally just went ahead and said it, right? And just to cut this short,
and to preface it, he would always, Andre's word. I love. It's beautiful. I love how he has his way with words. It wasn't, will you just buy my salsa chips? He was like, I just love you, this, that, and the other. Will you buy my salsa chips? In my mind, I'm like, yes, let's just go buy these salsa chips. Like I had no clue at this time. Like I could tell that he liked me a lot, and even loved me, but I just
marriage wasn't in your purview. It wasn't like in your
mind. I'm interested to know, Brandy, because you was a woman on a mission, on a grind. Okay, Brandy was like, I'm here to get my degree. I'm here to go to law school. I'm here to do the things. What made you say yes? Like when did you get to the yes that ultimately came?
So, so let me say this. Even before becoming my fiance at the time, I always thought Andre was a phenomenal person. Like he is very thoughtful, or at least he was with me. He was very thoughtful, very careful, all these different things. Like he cared about me deeply. And one thing that, and he always, like, he would tell me everything. And so it wasn't hard when all the stuff came together, like in a moment when I could look back on it, like all the events, but it was shocking to me. Like, I was like, boy, stop playing. And, he was like, we came out of the same class. I said, boy, stop playing. Like, no, I right now, I just really want to go back to my room. You go ahead and go to Burwell. It is what it is. And he was like, no, I'm really serious. And because I know that you are focused and you keep talking about law school, I figured I better tell you this now. And tell me what right now? Because I told him I wouldn't go to Burwell with him that day. And he said, he said, well, listen, because I don't want you to plan your life without thinking of me too. I just want to know, would you do me the honor of being my wife? I said, Andre, look,
Right.
I said, Andre, I said, like, dude, uh, I said, are you serious? And he was like, yeah, I'm really serious. He said, you know, we talk all the time. Everything you've said about what you want your future to look like, that's what I want for my future. And so I don't want you to, because I know you're already planning. Like I was telling when I was taking LSAT, you know, all these things. He knew, and it wasn't for I wasn't telling him those things because I was trying to pressure him to something because I didn't know that he felt. No, I had, when I say zero clue, Jaquita, zero clue.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I said, Andre, we haven't even dated. He was like, well, we don't have to. And so he said, I just know that this is what I want to do. And I just like, I stood there for a moment, and whatever was going on at the time, like it left my mind. And I was like, Andre, like, you know, I knew by that time I knew I loved him. But again, in my
You didn't have you. I said you gonna give me.
yeah,
She didn't.
5 minutes go by,
Answer.
and I ain't even answer the question. I I was giving him every reason, but like Dre, you have your life ahead of you, you know, those kinds of things. I guess I was almost convincing you out of it.
Yeah,
And
she is. Yeah,
and or trying to, but you know when Andre feels something, he gonna go with it 100%. And so he said, I know all those things, and I know we haven't traditionally dated or any of those things, but I've been talking to God about this, and I know this is what I want and what I want in my future. And so eventually I said yes. But Andre and I actually didn't tell anybody. Right there, it took like a week or so because I was having to still process it. And I knew that, like, when I say Andre cared for me intimately, I never forget. I have horrible cramps, and I have since I've had a cycle. And I remember one day Andre was in my, couple things happened. One time I was in my dorm and he said, hey, let's go to Walmart. I didn't really feel like it, but I said, sure, I'll ride with you. And I got in this car and I messed this car up. Like, super heavy cycle, and he didn't have leather seats. So I missed the car up. And this was on the way back to Walford, and I was mortified. I ran away. I said, oh my God, Andre, I'm so sorry. And I was like trying to think in my mind, like, how am I gonna get that out of his seat? You know, this, that, and the other. And like 2-3 minutes later, Andre walks up to my room. He said, girl, why you run? I was like, Andre, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to do that to your car. I'll pay for it. That's very embarrassing, you know, whatever. Like, that has never happened to me before. Um, and he said, girl, I already got it up. He said, there's nothing in my car. I said, what you mean? I said, like, there was, it looked like somebody got shot up in there. He said, Brandy, wasn't that bad, first of all? And like, he said, it was fresh blood. I just cleaned it up and it's all good. He said, but give me your pants and I'll go ahead and throw those in the wash and you won't even know that this happened. And it's like tears started falling down my eyes. I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so embarrassed. He was like, you don't have to be embarrassed. Just give me your pants and I'm gonna take them downstairs. So I went and laid down. He took my clothes to the laundry room, washed them, dried them. He brought them back up to me, woke me up. He said, see, you don't even see it. And I was like, I still was trying to process it, but that's how he cared for me. And then in another instance, I had a cycle and it was really, really heavy, but it was super, super painful. And I called the doctor he called my doctor after hours. He was like, you want to call the ambulance? I said, well, they don't do anything for cramps like that. I said, so that's not a good idea. He's like, you want to go to the emergency room? I was like, no, I just have to let it pass. Well, he calls my doctor.
Position in the corner. I was like,
I was crying. I said, oh my God, this is so painful. But at the end of the day, he just kind of sat with me. And then I fell asleep. He stayed in my room till I fell asleep, but I said I wanted a brownie, and it was 2 o'clock in the morning, and Andre walking into my dorm room with a brownie. I said, "Boy, why did you go get me a brownie?" He said, "You said it earlier that you wanted a brownie. I just thought about it, so I went to go get you a brownie." I said, "In the middle of the night?" He said, "Yeah, you said you wanted it." And so it like the way he was caring for me. And then at that time, and I saved it, we have it in our scrapbook. He went back to his room and he AIM messaged me. He,
Showing my age in the day I am.
he said, "I just want to, I love you." And I said, "Oh." I said, "Well, why'd you say that?" He said, I just felt it, so I wanted to say it. I said, "Oh, well, I love you too." And I thank, thank you for saying that. He said, and then he starts saying, and you had a really rough day today. And I just wanted to, make sure that I told you that I love you and all this and the other. So I knew what kind of person he was. So when I said, yeah, like I thought about it, I was like, well, if he cares for me like that, and he would be a husband like that, well, shoot, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, course. And we'll have to work out some of these details, but but I don't know what those details ended up being because it just felt so natural after he told me. Because by that time I had come down to Columbia, and spent the week for spring break, at his house and all that other stuff. So
We
it
ended up
was
studying abroad together in
yeah
2007. Um, Graduated. We ended up getting in USC.
yeah
Of course, and we got our letters right after each other, our acceptance letters.
yeah
We get to law school. We don't have the same last name, right?
yeah
We still ended up getting in the same section,
yeah
which was
yeah.
amazing because I was like, and once you get in your section, you pretty much stay with
Got
them at least your first year,
yeah.
and then even the first part of your second.
Mm-hmm.
So it was that part was magical. So we ended up doing everything together, and it kind of fell seamlessly there. So we ended up getting married our second year, right? That 2010, and we graduate in 2011, and of course she graduates. She walks across the stage 6 months pregnant. Were you 6 months pregnant with Sam?
7 months pregnant.
7 months pregnant.
You're 7 months pregnant, about to walk across the stage.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Can I just interject real quickly because I cannot overemphasize. One, I want to say one thing. A lot of people, there's this whole conversation on if you can be friends with people of the opposite sex, right? And Andre and I have been best friends since, 8th grade. We were 13 all the time. For like I said, we used to fight like cats and dogs. What I tell people this all the time. I became just as close with Brandy as I was with Andre. I
Yes.
did not keep some super special relationship with Andre that we had to keep on the side of,
yeah,
me. I became a friend of the family. And so for
correct.
all of you who have friends who may
Yeah.
be, the opposite sex, I would encourage you. I mean, it doesn't. All of y'all's friends aren't marrying somebody as cool as Brandy, right? But you have to redefine that relationship with
Yeah,
that person as I am now a friend of the family.
family, correct.
And so it really helped to set a dynamic where I could stay. You know what I'm saying? I stayed part of the crew. I stayed part of their lives because I be at the house. Me and Brandon be talking. I don't know where Andre be at. And I,
What
I really
For
don't
real.
be, I really don't be caring. I be like, Brandon, girl, I got to talk to my sister.
have you tried
But
this makeup? Have you done this? We
Yeah,
have
yeah,
our own.
Brandy be hearing some of the stories before Andre do. I
yeah,
be like, Brandy, tell Andre what I said.
Right.
But it was really important for me as I was watching y'all's relationship unfold that I wasn't trying to, reassert who I was or where I should be in this friendship, in this
right.
relationship, right? Like I remained a supporter of you guys as a unit, and I think
Yeah.
that that's really important.
Yeah, Yeah, and of course, when the kids came, you just came Auntie Quita. I mean, it just is a
And boy, did the kids come. The kids. I
Lord.
when I tell you I
It,
love y'all's kids, I love that I now have nieces and nephews that are teenagers. That's wild
right.
to me.
Yeah.
That is wild
Right.
to me how
Yeah.
quickly these kids grew. But
Yes.
the point I was gonna make was I remember when Brandy was pregnant, y'all, because you know they've told so many stories about how Andre cared for Brandy. I
Yes.
remember I went to visit. Y'all were in the apartment at the
Uh,
time. And I
uh,
went over there, and Andre, we were getting ready to go out to eat or something. And Andre said, "Okay, Brandy, stand up." And he like sprayed her down with the body spray. He put her coat on. He put her shoes on. I said again, my brother is sprung. But I'm so appreciative because
Yeah.
I tell people when I come home to Columbia, I'm like, I need to go see my brother and sister because just being
Mhm.
around y'all reminds me of what the promises of God looks like.
oh, well, thank you.
And because also I know Andre before, I know pre Brandy Andre. And he wasn't doing none of that. Like I said, I never nary a poem written. I could have ran and stubbed my toe. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I have plenty of examples where something happened to me and that I looked over there and that boy was laughing, cutting up. I got no help. I got sick one time. He made me ride in the back seat with the window down.
The key was it the Keystone? Not
Yeah, at
Keystone.
the
What was
key for the Key Club luncheon.
it? Keystone.
That man told me, he was, oh, that is disgusting. You sitting in the back. So when I tell you, when I tell you,
well,
I said, my brother, but just hearing your story is just confirmation of knowing what it looks like when it comes. So, all right,
Yeah.
we're seven
appreciate
months pregnant. We're walking
it.
across the stage.
Yeah.
Go.
Well,
And we of course right after we graduate, we go to try to sit for the bar. The week before, maybe a couple of weeks before, then was she had a pretty
seamless.
yeah, a pretty good pregnancy, like no issues, but for some reason, right up to that point, where we were getting ready to sit for the bar, they said we might have to take the baby because he's what is it? He's growing larger than or measuring larger than what her due date was, so he could come early. And they said, "Do you really want to be sitting in the bar and your water breaks and you go into labor and you have a baby? We don't want any issues to happen." So they scheduled her for a C-section. Right? We
Mm.
seen it.
Right. And
And so
though
we
the
had with
one was like a week later than the bar,
yeah,
they were afraid that I could go into labor
that's right.
Mm.
surely. And so it was this idea that let me just withdraw. Andre withdrew so that we could, have our baby. But and then I wouldn't change that
You
for
know,
the world.
My Lord.
it was rough because in that um number one is expensive to apply to take um,
Mhm.
um
But then having to do it later in life, having a baby and not feeling settled. But looking back on it at this point, I
wouldn't
wouldn't
change it.
change a single solitary thing. I wouldn't change
Yeah.
the kid I got, and we had a
An
series of.
amazing kid. All of your kids are amazing.
I love them so much.
Yeah. The
Thank you,
sweetest
Auntie.
kids.
Um, I will say the thing that came in this second act was the trials that come with being a newly married couple, the economy at the time, as well
Mm.
as what eventually happened with Samuel, the house fire. Like it was a number of things that happened, but it was so funny that when we look back on everything, God was still faithful the entire time.
Yeah.
Even though it didn't feel like it going through it, it was, I could look back on it at each stage and see where God was working things out for us. But in like I said, that second act was, and I think it is for a lot of people where you're trying to figure out who you are as adults, as a married couple, and all those things. When we had Samuel, issues would arise, family issues arose.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, when Samuel was 2, almost turning 3, he was diagnosed with autism.
Back up, just add a little more piece to that. So after we withdrew from taking the bar, of course that's supposed to be our piece into, our step into our careers. Like you said, the economy was terrible in recession, and I said, oh my gosh, so we withdrew. I don't have a job. I have a wife and this brand new baby that I have to take care of. What am I
Mm-hmm.
going to do? I ended up getting odd and end jobs, if you will, but I got a job as a professor or an adjunct professor at Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Then eventually I went into public school teaching full time.
Yeah.
Had to go get my cert, but you had to go through the alternative certification. So I had to get into that class, go to that seminar, and do all of, and to get certified, take that test to be certified. And I finally did. And like she said, in the midst of that, and it was 2014, we had the house fire. The year before that, or a couple of years before, it was at 2012, we both lost our jobs at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. Sam was diagnosed the day we had the house fire. The lady that was coming to do the assessment,
doing the assessment,
house assessment, she came. She was pulling up to a house in flames.
Yep.
And she said, "Please don't tell me that this is y'all."
She said, "Please tell me you're not Mrs. Small." I said, "Yes, ma'am, I am." She said, "Of course, I'm so sorry." I said, "Well, ma'am, if you'll just give us until tomorrow, I'll just have to come to you, because when they do the assessments, it was my understanding that they like to see the child in the actual setting and like environment so they can get an accurate setting." She said, "Tomorrow?" I said, "Well, ma'am, we've lost everything at this point, and I really
Wow.
know what's going on with my child. So if you just give me till tomorrow, I'll come to you." And we ended up going. Samuel would not say a word to those people. And that's when she said, "Well, we're going to have to diagnose him with autism." I was like, "Oh, no, but he can talk," that kind of thing. She was like, "He didn't do it in there with us, so we have to diagnose him." And he had some receptive language issues and all those things. And I think when he was maybe 18 months and we started the process with BabyNet of, having him assessed, I never forget my heart sank when I saw the paperwork. It said he was at like a 8 months expressive language and 15 months receptive language, or it could be switched, but she put on that paperwork, I could just still see the writing in the corner. It said severely disabled / retarded. And I
Like,
was mortified.
Auntie Jaquita peeked up because
Yes.
ain't
See,
no
we know
way.
that's not. We know that's not Samuel.
I wish y'all could see Samuel, because
Yeah,
literally one of the most brilliant
yeah.
kids.
But at that time, it was not a brilliant feeling. And
Yeah.
I remember like my heart sank and I started to blame myself. I thought I'd eaten something, because at the time you didn't know a whole lot about autism. And it was at the point where Andre and I could not even bring ourselves to tell everybody what was
Mm.
going on. We just were saying, like, he's going through some things. We're going to work with him, and I took everything that I had on the wall decoratively. And I like my decorative
Let me
stuff.
tell you something. My sister can deck a house out.
I took it all down. I put the alphabet on the wall, the numbers through 20, colors, shapes, all the things. I put those up, clock, what have you. And after I took it the way that I did, I finally, Andre and I sat there and we really couldn't even say words to each other. We just sat on the couch and had a whole silent conversation. And both of us were just sitting there with tears just falling down our face.
Mm.
Our faces. and it just looking back on it, it was a lot of ignorance, if you will, because we didn't, and
Yeah.
it was
Nobody would say anything either.
right. We couldn't get a lot of information. Like it's all out there now, but you couldn't get any information at the time. And so I just remember feeling like a failure as a mom. I just knew I'd done something wrong. I knew I ate the wrong thing. I didn't take enough supplements or whatever. And with Andre, he gave me DHA back in 2011. I'd heard that later. I didn't know that stuff. But he was giving me all these supplements and stuff like that, and I took it as, I'd done something wrong. And there was a lot of condemnation, like I said, from that people were saying about him and experiences that he was having, and family saying certain things about him. And yeah, that was painful. And I remember, and I'll just be quite frank, because that was my baby. Like Samuel, he's my gift from God. And when I did something wrong, quote unquote, did something wrong, and he came out with autism, or he was diagnosed with autism, I just was like, I was heartbroken, because then I would get the literature that, he would be, he wouldn't talk. He wouldn't learn to read and write. I got a pamphlet one day after the house fire, where it was talking about adult daycare. Now, Samuel's 3 years old, and they were telling me
Wow.
about daycare and how you could get diapers for him as an adult. And so these
Who is
people
over the messaging?
I don't know. No, like the lady came to my house and told me and gave me the pamphlet. She was talking about DDSN, which is a great program to provide
Mm.
services for families. But I mean, that just wasn't my vision that I had for my life and for my kids. It's nothing
Well,
wrong
Yeah.
with
in the midst
diagnosis.
of everything we were going, I'm sorry to cut you off. In the midst of everything we were going through, it just seemed like another holding a bag, and everybody was throwing a rock in it, and we
Yeah,
just scaring it around. So that was
yeah,
just another thing on top of the
Wow.
house fire. Job
right,
loss, he wasn't talking, the lack of family support, the lack of stability,
yeah,
outside of
Yeah. Like
the wall
you
of our
now
home.
don't have a house
Right.
right.
as
And
well.
then
Or the
not only
house you
that,
were in. Yeah.
it's gone.
Yeah.
It's everything is gone. But I at that time, it felt like, God, I did everything right. How did you give me a defective baby?
Mm.
That
That
was
was my feeling. Because all I heard was the doom and gloom. Like, he won't ever leave your house, and this, that, and the other. And I was like, Sam, you can't live with me forever. He
right.
might go out and have a whole life, you
Well,
know.
let me add this on top of that. We had family members say
Yeah,
who actually told Brandy that she was a bad mom.
yeah, I remember
Mm.
that.
I'll
Yeah,
leave it at that. And like quite explicitly. And
yeah. And when you hear that as a person who believes in God, all the enemy could do is plant a thought, but doggone, those thoughts are very real. And at the time, I just thought that I'd done something so wrong, or I couldn't figure out what God was punishing me for.
Mm.
And I told my husband after the fact, I said I contemplated suicide
Mm.
because I thought I did something to my child.
Yeah.
And here you're a bad mom, in conjunction with this thing that I did not understand. That was my thought. I had my plan, and I told Andre that I planned to put my children to it at a certain location, and I was just gonna not be here anymore. But thank God that thank God for the Holy Spirit, because I can remember like rationalizing, well, who's gonna be there for my husband, and who's gonna be there for my children.
Yeah.
Um, and the more I just sat there and I talked, I had Sam and Maya in the back seat, trying to go through with my plan. And then I said, I said, wait a minute, who's gonna love my kids? Who's gonna, nobody can love your kids like your mom can, or your dad, but mom can. And well, who's gonna take care of Samuel? And so I ended up saying,
You're telling me that it wouldn't be fair to me, and it wouldn't be
right.
fair to the establishment.
And I said, so I came to the point where I said it wouldn't be fair to my family to leave them like this. And so I said, okay.
We cut out. I'm gonna tell you what I did.
Yeah.
Cut out everybody.
Yeah.
Cut out
Let me
all
tell
the
you
noise.
something.
Tell me.
Andre will hunker down. Okay, he will create
Nobody's
a
business.
fortress. And I have never held that against you because I have always understood. Um, because I was aware of everything going on, and I was
Yeah.
praying with you guys and for you guys. But that was such a when we talk about first act, second act, I think in this part of the story, we're still in the first act where you are introduced to like some incredible challenges that we
Yep.
don't know. When you're watching a play and you're seeing the main character go through all of these things, right? It's not until they turn the lights on and you're like, how are they gonna get out of this? How are we gonna see our way to the other side of this? And I really feel like, when you guys were in college imagining your relationship, you don't write these type of things into the narrative. Um
Right.
but God brought challenges that he had beautiful responses to. But that
Right.
that doesn't always happen in the beginning of it.
So what I did in response to everything, like when the world just got so chaotic for us, I said, okay, can't do this anymore. Block everybody out. I mean, when I blocked everybody out, I blocked everybody out. It was nothing against them, but I said, we're going through something right now. I'm the head of this family. I got to, like you said, I have to hunker down. I got to and create a
Mhm.
fortress where if you don't think like us, we never told any of people of Samuel's teachers to tell him that he has autism. We said do not say it to them. If he has to be pulled out for whatever reason, just say it's a fun adventure. I don't know. I don't care. We never noticed, even today, we didn't say he was autistic. We said he was diagnosed with autism. That was first preference for us. It's not that we had a problem with autism in and of itself. What we said was, okay, well, God says we don't know what to do here, and we know you do, and you set this out before he was even thought of. Then we're going to get together. We're going to pray. I'm going to give my family marching orders, and we're going to go on with God in the way that we know how. And we're going to let the Holy Spirit lead in this one because I don't know where I'm going. I can't see beyond what we're being told here. Add to that, you know, I'm glad, we're attorneys now, but let's talk about this podcast episode and all the delays and all the technical difficulties and all that stuff. That is actually a very good um um representation of what our journey was like for the lawyer thing, because we didn't have the context coming right out of law school to say, well, you passed the bar and you got a job like our kids will have. Because by the way, now Samuel wants to be an attorney
Come
like
on,
us.
Samuel.
Right.
And Samaya does too. It's in the works. She's a little unsure, but she's
Listen,
job shadowing us. In fact, she's coming in early February. She'll hear a hearing of mine. I have a hearing in common pleas. You have a hearing in family court. And she's gonna view that, so that's
I
great.
love it.
But we didn't have that, right?
And it wasn't
And
a straight or direct path. There were
correct.
Yeah.
many distractions and, failures and,
We would apply to take the
tours.
bar, but then we had to withdraw
Yeah.
again.
But
Money issues.
through it all, God is faithful.
Yeah.
I will say this. I remember the conversation where Andre and I were sitting on the couch and we didn't say anything. We just kind of like hugged each other. Tears were running. Like we literally said no word.
We said no.
Mhm.
And tears tears were coming. And then finally I got myself together and I said, well, Dre, I'm just gonna love him to his healing.
Yes, yep.
Because at that time, again, I had no clue what autism was. Like I did not, and you have to remember, we are very new parents. He's 2 years old. Samaya is less than a year old. And so I'm just like, oh, and he had times where he was not talking and all those other things. He had ear infections, all these things that you'd have to sit for days to hear the story. But you know him, Jaquita. But
And what was your prayer, Brandon?
I told Andre, I said, I'm gonna love him to his healing. We're gonna love him to his healing. I said, and then we got very vigilant about speaking over his life. That's why we never called him autistic, and we don't to this day. We do not call. I don't have a problem with anybody accepting what they have to deal with, but I've never called him autistic. I don't accept that because everything that I heard as it relates to Samuel and autism was that he would not be able. He could not. He would not. He could not. And so I started praying, and I said, Holy Spirit, I said, please reveal those things that my children cannot and will not tell me. That's my prayer to this day. So if they're facing something, even if they don't understand that they're facing something, Holy Spirit, you tell me so I know to go to God on behalf of my children. So I had a moment where got to the lowest I could, but at the end of the day, I remembered everything that I knew about God, and it was I started speaking over our child, and I had been doing this the whole pregnancy, but I was very vigilant about those things, and I can't tell you the number of things that God has revealed over the years for our children. Well, I was gonna say specifically Samuel, but it's all of them. But that was my prayer. I still pray it today, in addition to other things. And Samuel started to flourish.
Yes.
He started talking. He hadn't stopped. Samuel will talk you under. Like they might have fell asleep on Samuel many times because he will talk you.
It's amazing.
It's amazing, but he's actually a very.
Though. I'm sorry, Brandy. Not just talk.
No, go ahead.
I remember when Samuel was in his Spider-Man phase. That boy knew everything there ever was, every piece of information that there was, like just a breadth of knowledge about how he could like take in information and give it out. Like I remember being absolutely amazed every time I encountered Samuel, like how big his brain was.
And
Samaya comes.
And funny story, Samuel was 2 at the time that Samaya was born. Samuel was not talking. It was gibberish. But we were still every day going over those letters and numbers. Samaya comes home and we have a picture. He wanted to hold her. And so we put the boppy on his lap and let him hold her. And Samuel just goes, itsy bitsy spider. And
we were shocked. We said, whoa, wait.
What the world? Like to not be talking, and he starts saying that. And like after that, we saw like I never forget. I said, everything was a lesson. My mama taught me that, like you make everything a lesson for kids, to build their language and increase their vocabulary. So we were in Food Lion, and I said, Samuel, what color is this on Daddy's shirt? So Andre had a red shirt, but it had these stripes on it. I said, Samuel, what's this? Is that blue? Because it was blue. And he said, no, mommy, it's aquamarine. I said, aquamarine? I said, well, what's this, Samuel? He said, that's amethyst. It was, to me, it's purple. But he said, that's amethyst. I said, is this yellow? He said, no, ma'am, that's gold. I said, no, ma'am. And so I was like, where is he getting all this stuff from? And he goes to my mom, and my mom throughout this time. She was like, "There's nothing wrong with my grandbaby. She said he's where he's supposed to be because she was a preschool teacher, and a director of a daycare. She was like, I don't accept it. She was like, well, Sammy knows this and he can this, that, and other. My grandbaby is, how grandparents can be. Thank God for her. And so she like tested him on the Briggs test or something. And she I can't even think of the name of the test, but she tested him and she was like, nope, he's fine. This is all he has to know. And he knows more than this, so he's fine.
Wow.
That's including the social cues, because a lot of the aspects of autism courses
social
elements. And when I tell you this kid is popular,
he's popular.
He is incredibly popular.
And he's very social.
And he's very, very, very social.
He's such a cool kid.
Yeah, he is. He's amazing. Junior scholar, plays the cello, taught, by the way, Jaquita, check this out. So he's taught himself.
Yes.
The bass, the mandolin.
Oh my God.
Banjo, what was the other thing we got? Ukulele.
The lyre or
the lute. Whatever. No, lyre. Yeah, lyre. Yeah, something like that. Taught himself.
Andre used to get on my nerves a little bit in high school because Andre could literally play every single instrument. Like every single instrument. And I didn't mind. It didn't bother me. He would pick up a flute. Andre started out playing trumpet. And then one day he was like, oh, let me see if I can do this flute. Oh yeah, I can play this. Oh, let me try a saxophone. Oh yeah, I can understand this just like clarinet, which I played the clarinet. And I was cool till he picked up my tuba one day. And he was like, oh, what's this? Oh, this is easy. Play tuba and started playing mommy. I was like, this ain't fair. This is not fair. This ain't right. To the point where Andre was picked up a completely different instrument. Like, was it junior year you started playing French horn or senior year?
No, senior year.
Yeah, completely starts playing a new instrument in the band, playing people's flute solos better than them. Like, it was ridiculous.
I got first chair on the French horn, and then Mr. Clayton ended up giving me like this big solo during that trip to
it's video
Bands of America or whatever it was.
Yeah. So anyway, Samuel did not steal this. He didn't steal this. But Brandy, as you were talking, when we go back to kind of the beginning of you guys' relationship and the first act, and people wonder why it's so important to build that foundation at the beginning, a foundation of integrity, of I have this person's back. I want to see the best for them. I'm invested completely in who they are and in who God is in this relationship. And we were knit together, not on what we selfishly want out of a relationship, but we're knit together in purpose with God and in community with God. And when you face these moments where I really think these are more of our intermission moments, where the lights have gone off and we're backstage, and like Andre said, you cut everybody off, right? And now you're backstage and it's just the cast, right? It's just the people who are in the story. We've cut out all the noise. We're not trying to perform for anybody. We are trying to figure out, how are we going to get back out on the stage? How are we going to carry the story forward? Everything that's happened thus far has been a lot. I need to take a moment. And, I think a lot of times when we think about the acts of a play, you have your first act and there's a story there. Then you have a little intermission. That's a break. And then you have a second act. It's not a lot of people who call their own timeouts. Right. Like, it's not a lot of people who say, Lord, I need an intermission. Hold up. And Andre, as the leader of his home, really saying, okay, listen, we're going backstage. We got to go back here and get the plan and get the script. I need to revisit the script. I need to figure out, something needs to be redefined. So, because whatever is written here,
if you need to.
You said what?
I said, and talk to the director if we need some more guidance, some instructions.
I love it when somebody take a metaphor and run with me, right? Go backstage and talk to the director and say, hey, we need to have a one-on-one meeting about this script, right? And he knows where it's going. you only
Yeah.
see kind of the hard trial that you're in right now, but nobody would have known how beautiful this story could get. And I'm
Yes.
as you guys are talking, you have multiple things going on, right? You have
Yeah.
Yeah.
house fire, you lost everything. You have baby, two children, and one that you're, trying to steer away from what people are saying about him because now you're having to rewrite in your mind what his future is going to be because somebody else is trying to write another narrative, right?
Correct.
Somebody
Yes.
else is telling you
Yeah.
about adult diapers for a 2-year old is bananas. Right, but they're
Yes.
trying to project that far down the line. And it's in these
Yeah.
moments when you get to a moment where somebody else that's not the Lord, that's not the playwright, that's not the director, right? That's not the author of your story, starts giving you a different script and says, this is what
Right.
your life is going to look like. This is what your future
Right.
is. You know, there has to come a moment where we reject what's being given to us that was not given to us by the director. And it's going to take a
Right.
moment to recalibrate to go back to the original script. And that's what the
That's
intermission is about. I need a moment to go backstage to figure some stuff out. And
yeah.
I love that Andre was like, everybody backstage.
Yeah.
Everybody backstage. We going to meet with the director, and whatever he say, that's what we gonna do. I ain't trying to hear what nobody else got to say, right? But again, a marriage that is founded on that, you can make that call when you get in the middle of it, right? But
Right.
sometimes the ways that we are beginning things is making it more difficult when we get in the middle of something like that, right?
Right.
Brandy, in the lowest moment of her life, had a rock. Not She had the rock of her Lord and Savior, who also sent her a rock of a husband that could hold her up in
Yes.
that moment. And I'm sure Andre felt all kind of feelings in that moment too, right? But
Yeah.
they both knew which rock they had to go to together. And so I think that
Right.
that's beautiful, that you guys you willingly went backstage. Sometimes the Lord got to drag us backstage because
Yeah.
we be like, I'm gonna figure it out. I'm feeling the Lord be like, intermission, cut the lights right now.
Y'all ain't
So,
listening. Let me cue you back on over here. Let me
Man,
pull this
listen.
plug. Really. Yes.
and then you get to today, and man, what can I say?
Tell me
All the
about the
delays.
second act, Andre. What happened when the Lord pulled them curtains back up? Because
Listen, I go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say because there's many pieces of the story, right? We had house
Yeah.
fire, we had diagnoses, we had law degrees, but working
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
education, losing jobs, trying to figure it out.
Yes.
Where did God bring
Yeah.
resolution to some of the challenges that you faced before?
Listen. So the I would say probably where it really started. And I didn't think about it until then, Brandy. But so Brandy passes the bar back when she was pregnant with Maya, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because of everything that went with Samuel,
Mm.
getting full time into law, didn't happen until later because we were so focused. Now she was always an attorney. She always did work for it, but she ended up, she finally said, "All right, let me just step out on faith on my side because I had us on the. I still taught and I still had our providing that way." She said, "Let me go ahead and step out on faith and create the law firm. Let me go ahead and then make the way for when it was time for me to come out to do so." And that was in what 20
18.
19 18 18. Um so she still goes out, steps out to make to make out on her own to make the business. At the time, it was Brandy L. Small Attorney at Law LLC.
Mm.
And then she pops up with twins, right? And we can go over that story later. While she had the IUD that worked since Maya was born, the doctor puts it in and it works for 6 years, and it is fine. And one day, I said, "Wait a minute, when did she go through the cycle?" Because when the diet didn't affect the cycle, it was just the no hormone based, just copper wire one. So what's your last cycle?
Mm-hmm.
She said, Dre, I don't know.
See, he's not telling you. So this is what happened. I was coming home and I was so sleepy, I would literally just fall asleep like right there. And I was texting our friend Brandy, and in the middle of the text, I fell asleep. Andre gets my phone and says, "Hey, Brandy, she fell asleep." And Brandy, when I told her later, she said, "Girl, I was thinking how she fall asleep. She was typing." I fell asleep. And so he goes on there and he texts her and says, Brandy, she fell asleep. When she wake up, I tell her to go back and text you. And just a little because Audrey and I have always shared phones. There's been times when he's had mine, I've had his. Mm-hmm. So he just went right in there and he texted her and said, "Hey, she fell asleep." The next day, I get up and Andre brushed past me. And I hit him. I said, "Whoa, why would you hit me in my chest so hard?" He said, "Girl, I didn't hit you in your chest." He said, "I just brushed past you." But the sensitivity was on a level 100 out of 10. I would say that much here. And
I didn't talk about Maya before then.
Oh, so that was the night that I messed I fell asleep on Brandy. That was a Friday night because the Saturday we were gonna go take the kids skating, all the kids skating. That Wednesday, Samaya comes to me, and before the kids always, even to this day, they come and give me a hug before they go to school. Andre was about to take them to school, so she comes and gives me a hug, and she says, she touched my belly. She said, "Mommy, there's a baby in there." I said, "Samaya, you don't say that. That's not nice.
Don't just go up to people.
You don't tell women that they're pregnant and." I was like, "You trying to say I'm fat or something? What is this? And so I said, "Girl, go to school." I was like, "Love you, might go to school." So they go off, or what have you. And then the next thing, that Friday I fell asleep. Saturday morning I walk into Andre, the sensitivity's on 1,000. And he said, "Wait a minute.
Lord,
with an IUD, you feel the strings." Andre said, "I haven't felt the strings." And so he said, "Oh Lord." He walks when I pushed him and I said, "That hurt." He looked at me, he said, walked out the door. He goes to Walgreens and he buys 2 pregnancy tests. I said, "Why did you get 2? 1 is sufficient." He got 2 pregnancy tests. And I took it and it came positive. He called the doctor's office that day because he was like, "Wait a minute, you have that." This was a Saturday. He left a message. So he calls the doctor's office. They end up getting us in really quick. And I thought of it. So we went to meet Brandy that Saturday or what have you. And then I thought back, I said, oh, Maya was right. I was like, how did she know?
Just as an interjection, Maya is always right. Okay, next point.
She is.
Maya is always right.
All our children are super holy and super spiritual. I would tell you, and it's so funny.
Yeah,
we
I
laugh
meant
at
to
it.
say the way I knew Samuel was talking is because y'all sent me 5 million videos of him saying scriptures. Like that boy knew.
Oh.
Yeah. A holy, real. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, we're talking over each other, but yeah, my was praying and we can tell that story later. But she prays
all the time.
And at that age, and just jumping forward, she ended up praying. I'll never forget. She prayed in the Holy Spirit, and she told us when the twins would be born.
Yes,
and she was right. On their birthday, November 6th. Sam couldn't find the remote to his TV, something
right
like that, Brandon.
Same time.
Right around that same time, and Maya stopped everybody in the room, and she just started praying. She was moving her mouth. She wasn't loud, but she was moving her mouth. I could tell she was praying in the Holy Spirit. And she said, "Hold on," and she ran back and came back with the remote. I said, "Girl,
let me ask you a question.
God, what the lottery numbers are for this?"
I be submitting my prayer request to Maya. I be like, come in, Maya, while we over there playing with the goo and with the beads and Maya, you know your auntie need a husband. I'm just playing. What has the Lord told you, daughter?
Right, girl. Please let me know. Let me know.
That girl,
But she
Oh,
was
that's what
so
I'm saying.
funny.
She's never wrong.
She won't lie to you because she
she
said,
wants you.
"Well, God didn't say anything about that." That's exactly when she the story where she told me the day that I was going to have the twins. She was sitting down there. Andre and I were sitting on the couch. We were watching TV, and Maya was just. We could see she was praying, and we could see her lips moving, like you could hear something, but you couldn't hear what she was saying. And she was just like this as she turns and looks back at us, and she says, "Mommy, God says you're gonna have the twins on November 6th. No, November 7th. No, November 6th." I said, I looked at Andre and I was like, okay, baby, and I just kind of went with it. And then that pregnancy was a little more difficult because
It
you
was two of them.
older, it was two of them. And, all the fear about twin to twin transfusion and all these other things, that God saw us through. But I went to the doctor and I got the paperwork to set my C-section date, and it was November 6th. I took a picture of that thing and I called Andre. I said, "Boy, do you know what day they said they're taking the babies?"
Oh
He
my
said,
God.
"What?" I said, "November the 6th." He said, "She was right." And I
She's
was like,
always
oh my
right.
God, he's right. And I kid you not, like it like blew my mind. And she's still like that today. She'll tell us things. She's very perceptive. Like if she thinks the twins are about to do something to get hurt, she'll go and like she'll preempt them. Yeah, like she's like a second mom to the house. Because she's always, "Dad, you're forgetting this. Mom, don't forget this. Sam, where's your instrument? Where's your music? Twins,
Dad said Dad, you said we were gonna read the Bible this year. That was last year. Read the Bible this year in January. It's March, so when are we gonna?
Listen, Maya be keeping y'all
when
together.
are we gonna? When are we gonna do what you said we were gonna do, Dad? I said,
Keeping y'all together.
turn your Bibles to Genesis, please. We're gonna have to do
Genesis
some.
1, everybody. So he had to go that night. It was like 10 o'clock. She said, "Dad, I keep asking you, and you said you're gonna do it. We're supposed to be reading the Bible. Here it is, March, like we haven't started." And I was like, "Dang."
Pressing at me. Well,
She was,
Maya
and
said,
so
I'm
he
sick
got
of
up.
y'all. I'm trying to keep things together. Okay?
And
Stay on the
I
program.
read. Look, I
right.
read my kids' text messages and things like that. The number of times both Sam and Maya, I've seen them praying for their friends. Samuel took an
Mm.
extra. He For their free read time, Samuel would read his Bible. I was like, "Boy, you can read whatever you want to. You don't have to read the Bible." He said, "No, Mom, this is just what I want to do." Okay, but that's fine as long as it's fine with school. You fine. And one day he got his second Bible, got the second Bible because we got two Bibles from Walford when we graduated, one for Andre, one for me. And he ends up taking the second one. I said, "Sam, your book bag is heavy. Why are you taking another Bible?" He said, "One of my friends was having a panic attack, and I told him you just need to read the
Read the book.
word." And so I'm taking it. I said, "Oh my God, this is tickling me." And then this week, I get Maya's phone because we got their password, and I click on her phone to try to get into it and type in the passcode, and I see her lock screen, and it's "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me," and I was like, "Y'all know what?" Like,
It changes every day too.
yep, and
The
they send the scripture in our family group, our larger family group, and everything. And they read their Bibles. Samuel was like 4, and I remember Pastor was reading the scripture. He said, "And not by might, not by power." And Samuel, who was sitting there on the floor playing with his toys, he sings, "But by your spirit, God." And it's not like you would know it because he's not singing Tasha Cobb's song, but he's reading the scripture. But Samuel could hear it, and he starts singing in the middle of church. I said, "Lord have mercy." But they have always amazed us. And like the twins,
Yeah.
when they were talking about a tornado, they prayed and they said, "Well, Mama, no tornado came here. Are we gonna pray?" Like they keep us together as a
Listen,
family. That
I
traveling
love,
from that to today,
yeah.
it's amazing.
But I love that your children have become the second act, right? Like that, because I'm as you're sitting here talking about like Maya and Samuel and the twins. Like I met Andre at the age that Samuel is now. I don't remember me and Andre talking about the Bible. Andre never had no Bible when we was coming to class.
Boom.
But I love how there's been something that your relationship, the foundation that you guys built in your first act, right? It's being realized in your children who are walking at a completely different level than we did when we were at the age. And not that we weren't walking with the Lord, but they have it.
Right.
The things that they're facing are also 10 times more than what we were facing at their
Right.
age.
Yeah.
But they also have 10
Yes.
times more of God. And so every
Right.
Yeah.
trial and everything that you face in the first act, right, it's proving its why in the second act. And that they have what they need and you guys have what you need.
And if I could, maybe this could be the final thing that we talk about, what I love about what God did for us professionally. Because
Come on
now,
here.
because we talked about when the twins came with Brandy, coming out, and we hanging a shingle, and she starting a law firm. Well, we talk about all the delays and things of that nature. And I won't get into how it was delayed, but um, when it seemed like that this aspect of our career, us both being attorneys, both having our own firm, now we have a small law firm. When it seemed like it was denied us for so many years, I
Mm,
was like, God, why? What is going on? I don't understand God why is I graduated in 2011. I don't get licensed anywhere until 2023.
mm.
And I'm like, what is going on? I am now licensed in 3 states.
Come on here. Talk about it.
Had I not had God not done it the way that He did, I can't go through every detail.
Mm-hmm.
In a different podcast we might share a story where God spoke to Brandy and helped shift my focus and how I attack coming out from on my side,
Yeah.
and I ended up taking the bar in North Carolina. I'll say
Yeah.
that, and blew it out of the park.
Yeah.
Not toot my own horn, but God did that thing, and then now for me to be able to say I'm licensed in 3 states, that I work alongside my wife, that we have small law firm LLC, that our kids have an entity or have something that they can now, because Sam is serious about being an attorney, that he can come out of school and walk into. If I had just if I had taken and passed the bar right as I got out of law school,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be here. It was I in the bar I ended up passing was a completely different one than what was offered to me when I first came out of law school.
Wow.
I,
Yeah.
it was a uniform bar.
Let me say this too, Andre. I think also our focus would have been different with our kids, and I'm gonna tell you why. We're sitting here tonight, and like on any given day, we could be out at the office. We've been out here 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and the kids are at home. They're calling us, and we FaceTime, and we make sure they have food. They're with their grandmother, with Andre's mom. And so, and on most days, we are super, super busy. And so that time that we had to pour into Samuel, to pour into Samaya, because there was also a time when someone tried to diagnose Samaya crazy. Uh and so we had like all of these things that I believe that God set us up for, where we could love our children to where they needed to be, grow them up in Christ in a way that we wanted them to be, and now that we have them where they are, we can focus on our careers in this way.
Mm.
So when Andre and I start reminiscing on things that have happened, or what have you, I told him, I said, well, Dre, I don't know that we can be mad about them. I said, I think I have to thank God at every stage, because I could see today why things were the way they were at that time and why they are the
Mm.
way they are now. And I think he knows better than we do. And so,
Yeah.
every time we start to question God, it was like, you know what, just because he knows better. He knows you're faithful. He knows that the things that you're going to go through, but he knows all. And so, what we have as our plans are not what his plans may be, but he makes them perfect. And I told Andre this probably a couple years ago. I said, do you realize as spouses, we've never gone through like some big old fights and all these other things. I said, but I laughed about it. I said, it's
We were too busy fighting the world.
in the world, whether it was diagnosis or this, that, and the other. I said, we don't have time to fight each other. And today we spend pretty much all day around each other. I mean, sometimes he's at court here and I'm there, but generally we are around each other. And when I think back to when Miss Brenda Haddock asked us to tell God what we wanted for our future, everything we're living today is what we wrote on that paper. And we always said we
Wow.
wanted to work.
And we wrote that in March. I remember the date, March
Like
8th, 2020.
it
I
was
mean,
like
20,
2012.
2012.
Yep, she
2012.
told us
Wow.
to write it down. You can see where we are today that she was talking that she had us to do. And then we always get the questions, and we've gotten this forever. How can y'all be around each other all day? Like, this is where Andre say he could breathe. I could breathe around Andre.
Mm.
I know he likes to toot my horn as his wife, but he, like I said, he's a phenomenal person. He's a very protective person, and he's funny, he's silly, he's goofy, he's all those things. And so, why wouldn't I want to be around him? There are times I tell Andre, I just wish I can get in your skin, like, and be that close to you. And it's like, well, you're around your husband all the time. Why do you need to get in his skin? It's so comfortable. Like,
Mm.
it's so beyond sex. It's beyond like the things in this world. It's the comfort. It's the just the love, the peace, and all those things. Not saying everything is perfect, but I can't tell you where there's an issue, and not between the two of us, and we haven't had that. Thank God, because in the line of work we do, we see couples that go through that. But I really thank God for where we are. I don't have to complain about my husband. These conversations I hear today about who's going to cook and what you're bringing to the table, those have never been conversations in our household. Whoever is available to cook, that's who cooks. Who's available to clean, that's who cleans. And it's to the point, and it always has been this way, where Andre always tries to outlove me.
Mm.
If I wake up, not if I wake up, when I wake up, if I'm not going to be with Andre, he's set the car up for me to go. He's put my bags in there. He's like got pads, snacks, chocolate, whatever it is. He knows at that time he'll have everything set up for me. And we have those conversations, and he said, well, what's the thing you love about me most? Of course, it's your love for God. I said, but as a wife, it's that you anticipate my needs. I don't have to
Mm.
ask you anything. I'm not begging you to help me with the kids and all this, that, and the other, because the kids go with their dad. Like, he don't babysit them. These are his kids. Shoot, he the one wanting all of them. Look, because talking about the twins, the truth is we still had the IUD. I was supposed to go get it taken out, but I was dragging my feet on it because I wasn't really ready, because I had just started, my own practice. But I said, well, Dre, I'm getting up in age, and I'm not going to be, too old having children, too much older, because I've already had C-sections. And
Mhm.
I know what that's like. The first one is a lot easier than the last one.
Mm.
And not that that's an old age, but I'm talking about the years from when I started having kids. Because I think these women today are on to something with the older age having children, because you're more settled. I will say that much. But I will say that we literally, at that time, I said, do you want a third child? He said, yes. I said, well, I'll go make an appointment. I didn't make the appointment. We got pregnant anyway. And she told me it takes 6 months to a year. So we never made it to the appointment because got pregnant with the IUD there right in place. And Andre, I said, well, honey, how many more kids do you want? Because he said, well, I would like 4. I said, but honey, I'm telling you, I only have 3 pregnancies in me. I said, because them C-sections are not something to be trifled with. And then with Black maternal death, I don't want to keep putting myself in that position.
Mm-hmm.
And when he said he wanted 4 kids, and I told him, I said, I don't think I have 3 pregnancies in me, but if you, after this 3rd child, if you will talk. And
The
God
Lord said
literally
2 for
gave us,
1.
he
No,
BOGO, he
Buy
BOGO'd them
one,
on us.
get
And
one free.
listen, and I could not imagine my life without my twins. They are
Yeah.
so amazing to me. But like the way, like, and I cried that whole pregnancy because I was just like, it's hospital. Andre's grandfather had died at that same hospital that I was gonna have to deliver. Like it was a whole lot of things, but God was with us. But I would say like the way that God orchestrates things. When I look back on my life and I look back and I look daily at pictures from old, I can't do anything but thank God.
Wow.
You know, little country bumpkin trying to go to Walford, like broke, impoverished family, didn't have the resources, but I literally meet the love of my life and the person who is doing life with me, who cares for me so deeply. Like it's, I can't explain like the joy, the peace that brings. The world is chaotic, but with
Mm.
Andre, it's not that. Like we ride in the car and he's massaging my head. Like and he'll reach around me, put my seat back and say, just go to sleep. He's driving me to court and I'll answer some emails. He was like, just take your little nap because you're going so much. Just take your little nap.
Yeah.
That kind of like he just cares for me deeply and loves me deeply. Why would I be mad about that? And
Yeah.
to see our kids are today, where our life is today as a whole, like Jaquita, I can't do anything but just thank God. This next chapter has just been one of gratitude,
Yeah.
um, and
Mm.
and just thankfulness and just thank you, God, for showing us new mercies, new grace, but thank you for writing setting our paths. He knew us from the beginning. He knew I would meet Andre and have the kids that we would have. And I wouldn't change it for a world. Even change it for the world. Even the hard times at this point.
Yeah.
They don't even,
they were hard.
they
And,
were, but they don't matter.
yeah, they don't. I think I cried or wailed. I was never feeling like I just wailed. I cried from the depths of my soul when I got so low, and I never forget saying to Brandy, I lost my hope.
Yeah.
That broke Brandy's heart. She went to praying the
Right.
next day. So and I shared that part of the story just to let you know, like what you're seeing now. It is the second act, and everything isn't all the kinks aren't worked out,
Yeah.
but we are a far cry, you know, further along than from that place. We're in it is awesome where we are, and I think in this second act, when the more unstable and chaotic the world gets, I create stability in my home.
Yeah.
I
Mm.
create stability for us. It's only instituted by the man, if there is one, in the home.
Yeah.
I set the pace
Yeah.
for what my home looks like.
Mm.
That's not a chauvinist thing. That's not a macho thing.
Yeah.
But I take my role in my family very seriously,
Mm-hmm.
and what God has commanded us
Mm-hmm.
as men to do. And I don't know it all, but I know where to go,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
that's what sets it up for the next stage.
let
So
me tell
Yeah.
y'all something.
it's just
Friends.
wait. There's more is coming.
I have been trying to convince them for years to host marriage seminars, okay, to write books. But I decided, since I had this podcast, I give y'all a little bit of what I get every time I'm around them. Because I take all my little relationship issues and I tell people, I'm like, hold on, I gotta run this by one of the best couples I know. You guys are absolutely phenomenal. I love your story, but what I love more is that your story is not a man over here and a woman over here. It is really a union, and it is God has carried you together through every season of life, through everything that He's done for you and done with you, through everything that you've encountered. You've done it together. And I think that you have never failed to give God glory in everything that He's done for you, whether it was a challenging season, whether it was a season that brought you to your lowest point, or a season that brought you to your highest point. I have watched you give God glory in every season and in every setting. And I think that is why God continues to elevate you. And as much as He's blown your mind thus far, I can't wait to see what this year and the years coming look like, because He's not done yet. He is not
Jesus.
done yet. You know, they say a baby changes everything. Well, y'all had two of them, and them babies, them babies elevated your life. You know, the thing that you weren't planning
Yes.
for, you weren't expecting, everything started coming, the pieces started coming together when God introduced that new piece of your story. And I think that God has
Yep.
more introductions yet to make for you guys, because you're faithful.
Yep.
And I'm personally, I might be biased, but I think everybody could benefit from hearing about how you guys love each other and how you love God and how you love your family. So thank y'all for being on the show, friends.
Thank you for having us. Look, we wouldn't.
Yeah, we do.
It's not that we wouldn't share. It's just
We're not
who are
destined.
we? You
Yeah,
know,
right.
who are we? You know, everybody has a
Listen,
different path, but I do understand that, we help people with our testimony, and I'm talking about Christians in general. Like, that's how you overcome. Blood of the lamb and the words of your
yeah.
testimony. So I do understand there's a place for that. But I don't think that we are just somebody special, or what have you. But we do thank God for the what He has given us.
Listen, for the power of your testimony is, and it's not a power that we claim for ourselves, it's a power that we recognize how God has worked through our story. So I'm so appreciative of y'all. I don't know if we said this in the beginning, but guys, this is the season finale of the first season of the second act. And my Lord, what a way to go out. Had my two of my closest friends to help us close out. I really, really, really hope that you guys have received value from everything we shared in these first 6 episodes. I have more to come. I want to tell more stories. I want to tell more testimonies. I want us to keep encouraging each other in the Lord. There's a lot of things that the enemy can take from you, but he can never take away the power of God that has worked through your life. And when we share those stories, when we share our testimonies, we remind the devil and everything that opposes us how big and how powerful our God is. So listen, friends, thank you for like, sharing,
Amen.
and subscribe. Hey, quick shout out. Shout out the law firm. If anybody's looking for legal services, where can they reach you guys?
Go ahead, baby.
All Law Firm LLC. We are located at 810 Dutch Square Boulevard, Suite 206, Columbia, South Carolina 29210. Our office number is 803-339-1661. Please, our website is www.smallfirmsc.com. That's SMALLFIRMSC.com.
That's right.
Awesome. And we will make sure
All
we
right.
have that linked on all of the websites where we stream the podcast. All right, guys. It's been a wonderful season. It's been a wonderful episode. Thank you guys for rocking with me. Listen, if you are pushing through a season of your life, if you are pushing through a circumstance and you know God has more for you, remember, you do not have to stay stuck in intermission. You can raise the curtain to your second act. We'll see you guys on the next season. Bye, friends.
Okay.